Welcome. This is Bill Donahue with Discerning Truth. Here to talk to you about Jesus, mostly about Jesus. Talk to you about things, books of the Bible. I broadcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific time on a number of platforms. And Mondays and Wednesdays, we're usually in a book of the Bible. Right now, I am in the book of Nahum. We're going through some of the books in what's called the Book of the 12, the minor prophets in the Old Testament, and kind of give you a bigger picture. Nahum's a very short book, 23 chapters, and it took me a two-part introduction just to get through the beginning of Nahum, so or to lay the groundwork for Nahum. So it's I'm digging a little deeper in some of these books to try to give you a better introduction into the book itself, into the context, into sounds weird. I don't know. I had my headset mic broke, Neil. So I don't know if this was just a cheap headset mic and the way it sounds, or what's going on. But hopefully this problem is not an ongoing issue. This is my first time breaking. My good set of headsets broke over the weekend, so I bought a cheap gaming set, and hopefully it's going to be okay. But I try to speak clearly, so hopefully it's not too bad. And Neo's here, and thank God Neo's back from her little walkabout in the United States and back streaming. I missed part of the stream this morning because I had to do physical therapy, but I was there for the beginning, and I'm glad to see her. So hopefully I'll be with Neo on Friday, and we'll get that done. So in all these introductions to these books, when I've done the who, what, when, where, and why, and then I've also tried to do a tap the mic part just to be sure. a second. I'm going to look in settings, see if this is something I can fix. Uh, Sorry. Yeah, I just, there's no tab here. There's a, now I have my mic back on. If you could hear me in the middle of that, then I'm picking up the speaker audio. If not, it's just my mic, and I might have to spend more money than a real cheap headset. But we'll get there. And hopefully, this won't be too bad, and we'll be able to get through it. But my sound guy is in the chat going, "Your mic sounds horrible." So I look at the set context. I look at intertextuality to see how the writer of the Bible uh, used the existing revelation or how New Testament writers use their revelation. And so with that, I'm going to get into the intertextuality a little bit for chapter one in Nahum, right? Where am I going? Lost my train of thought. If something goes wrong, that really throws me off, right? And so Nahum, it belongs in the genre of prophetic oracles, right? And especially we had a bunch of oracles in the Old Testament, oracles against foreign nations. And it's part of, like I said, what's called the Book of the 12 or the Minor Prophets. It's poetic throughout. And understanding that it's poetry is important. You read poetry different than you read a historical narrative or read a letter from a friend, right? So you get this opening section in chapter one, verse one is the introduction of who it is. And then 2 through 8 or possibly 10 functions as a hymnic theophany. Oh, there's a big old theological word. It's a presentation of God. Usually it's like God as a flame of fire or a storm cloud or God in any kind of presence like that. And the book's traditionally dated in about the 7th century BC prior to Nineveh's fall, which happened in 612 BC. So probably in the early 600 BC, not late. And then the intertextual connection with existing revelation, books that were written before Nahum, right? It's like it's drawing uh, lexical lexical means word. Okay, it's identified through shared word uses or shared themes or structural parallels that are confirmed. I've checked multiple sources; they all confirm this is the case. God's character, which is presented in Nahum verses 1, 2, and 3, and alludes to the character credo, that attribute formula, which comes back from Exodus 34, 6, and 7. The Lord, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness, keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, but who will by no means clear the guilty. That's kind of God's character. Yes, he wants to forgive you. He's slow to anger. He's very giving and giving away his his mercy, but he's not going to clear the guilty without repentance, without coming to him, right? So, and then Nineveh, that's the context here. Nineveh is guilty of certain things. And it draws on Exodus 20, verse 5 and Deuteronomy 4:24 about God being a jealous God. Yahweh, the God of the Bible, Jehovah, however you want to pronounce those 4 letters, okay? He is really passionate about you should only worship him and no other God. And that's why he's saying jealous. We think of jealous as being uh, a bad characteristic. He's saying, look, I want you to love me and only me, right? I mean, would that be the way you feel about your own spouse? I want you to love me and not other people also. I mean, not love them in the same way that you love me, right? And then it has interbiblical allusions like Exodus 34, 6 and 7 in consistently identify Nahum, one and 2b as like they put A and B breaks in the verses. Like the first clause is A, second clause is B, 1 to 2b and to 3a as targeted reuse, emphasizing God's justice. So what he's doing here, Nahum isn't quoting any passage. He's giving you, he's sharing words from other passages. He's sharing thematic ideas, like the idea of God being slow to anger, God being merciful, God also being executing judgment on the unjust. And you get this what they call theophanic, theo God, right? So it's God imagery here in there, and you get it in a storm or a whirlwind or drying seas and rivers, withering vegetation, even Bashan, Carmel, and Lebanon that are pictured. They are fertile plains. So you're like withering vegetation in the most fertile land, or quaking mountains, or melting hills, or heaving earth, or wrath like fire breathing rocks and conventional. Those are theophany motifs. They're not meant to be read as really there. It's kind of imagery of the power of God. You see earthquakes and mountains shaking and smoke and fire and God's way in a darkness in the storm. You see it in Psalm 18 and 2 Samuel 22. You get cosmic disturbances, right? Like in Habakkuk 3, 3 to 15, you know, and then you get um, mountains quaking before the Lord. They're not actually quaking, right? This is imagery of God's power. Judges 5, 4 to 5. And then the Lord comes forth and mountains melt under him, valleys split, okay, like in Micah 1, 3 to 4. So you don't want to read valleys, mountain splitting and valleys creation and stuff as literal. And this matters when you get to New Testament stuff where it talks about Jesus stepping on the Mount of Olives and it splits in half and creates a great valley. If you read that literally, you get a very different picture than if you read it in this theophanic language. And then Exodus chapter 15 is called the Song of the Sea, and it's related to the Exodus theophany tradition about the parting of the waters and stuff. And Psalm 77 and 68 also share elements of cosmic responses to God's presence, right? So these are there to present God, not to be written or read as if they're literal. Poetry can describe literal stuff, but it doesn't do it in a literal sense. And then you have intertextual connections with existing revelation, okay? And that it's going to connect ever to further revelation in the New Testament, like the messenger of good news. What gospel means in the New Testament is good news.